Next up, we have Prison from the Crystar OST by Sakuzyo. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I am a professionally trained musician / composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way that you don't have to be a professionally trained musician to understand what is going on here. If you like the sound of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video, share the video, join the Discord, all that good stuff. This is also recorded live on stream on a single take, so there's going to be a lot of pausing, as I will explain things as I pick them up, as I hear them. And of course, any mistakes in my speech will be because we're recording this live on stream. So let's do this. Prison by Sakuzyo from the Crystar OST. Let's go. Okay, we're 6 seconds in, and we already have a very frantic set of layers. We start with a very, very unusual set of percussion. Very unusual. It almost sounds like prepared instruments, which this is a concept that I despise, because it's atonal. But prepared instruments. Prepared instruments are when you play instruments, usually in an unconventional way. It sounds like it could be a couple of prepared percussions plus some just regular random percussions. This is a concept mainly used for atonal music. Atonal music is something that doesn't follow tonal norms, so it tends to be very nonsensical in sound. Like, it's going to have more unstable feelings. Of course, that immediately got followed up by some synths, and what it sounded like a little bit of vocals, but that initial sense of some very unusual rhythms, like it sounded a lot like you were hitting with the drumsticks, the rims or the sides of the drum to give a very different sound, playing the instruments in unconventional ways to give this sense of unconventional, which it worked. And then we had a short melody, a short synth, I think some vocals there, giving us our first motif, which is the smallest version of our musical idea. Let's see where this goes. Yeah, those vocals, some piano. So yeah, we're having these very, very strange pieces of vocal faded out, faded away, very, very far away, giving us this sense of very unusual. It feels very mystical, very, very, very unstable, very, very extraordinary, supernatural almost. And then we have the piano hammering in those bass notes. And the the interesting thing here is, this is on 4/4. This is on a traditional time signature, but everything is subdivided in such a weird way, and the percussion is doing so many weird things that it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we are in an unstable time signature, but we're not. It's very interesting. Let's continue. Okay. And there we go. We bring in... Oh my god. Okay, so we bring in a drum kit, which I think that's a full drum kit, not an electronic one. And it looks like we got that. We got some strings, and just as I paused, sounded like a brass instrument. Could have been a tuba, I don't think, a trombone or a French horn coming up with this more uplifting, defining everything a lot more, coming in and establishing order. Right, the track is called Prison, so... Yeah, we have the strings very frantic. The drum beat has come in to set up that. So yeah, we're having the strings here, the violins and the cellos that we're playing before, playing a variation of what those vocalists were singing, plus some of the things that the piano was doing. And these drums are here to establish that beat again, to establish that no, this is not odd time signatures. We're not doing any of that nonsense. We are in 4/4. We are following this steady beat, and we're doing this front and center. I like how thematic that is. Really cool. And then we have the horns. I think that's a French horn. A harp. Very nice. Some guitars. The harp, I love this. I love when composers use this. Using a harp glissando. A glissando is when an instrument plays a scale really, really fast. And when it comes to the harp, given the structure of the harp, that you have a bunch of strings. Let me bring up a picture of a harp. You know, you will have this kind of structure, which each string is a note in your scale. Yeah, a glissando is super easy on a harp, because then you just have to literally just pluck your put finger, move hand, and that's it. That's it. Unlike with other instruments, the harp has it the easiest when it comes to glissandos, and it's very, 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 very good to use for that whole feeling of angelic, of above, of a higher authority, spiritual sense. And it's very often used for that sense and to incite change and to bring change. And we're hearing that the instrumentation is changing every time the harp plays. The drums are staying the same, but the different instruments playing the different things are changing with each glissando of the harp, giving it this sense of rotation brought by divine willpower, so to speak, while keeping that same steady beat. This is really cool. Now the violins are playing a little bit more of a stable melody. And there you go. We switch over to a sitar. Okay. Harp plays. We add the strings back. We add an extra synth with rhythm. So yeah, every time the harp does the instrumentation changes one way or another. And here we have one of my favorite things to do for a transition. You remove the drums. You remove the bass of what is happening. You remove that, and it gives you, especially if you double it with a cymbal and with a glissando from a harp, it gives you this whole thing. And going up the scale, by the way, going up the scale for the harp, it gives you the sense of jumping off a cliff kind of thing, expecting to fly. It's such a cool feeling that you get. It's so powerful. It's so effective. And it's a very, very strong transition. And we just heard now the strings. The string orchestra is now playing its own thing. I might have heard a little bit of brass. I think the French horn was there. Not entirely sure. Let's continue. Strings only. We have that synth. We land back. You're not getting away. You're not going anywhere. And there we go. There's the brass. Some of the woodwinds, and we're having a lot of call and responses in the orchestra. I really like this mix that we're having of the orchestra plus the drum kit plus the synths. It gives it such an all-encompassing feeling to this track. It's really cool, and we even heard some exotic instruments. I think we heard a sitar back then, which is, you know, one of those Middle Eastern / Turkish instruments that has such a unique sound, emblematic of that region. And we are hearing, again, call and response. The concept of one instrument does one thing and another one immediately responds in between the strings and the synths and the strings and the horns and all that kind of stuff. No, I think the drums represent the prison, yeah. I think the drums represent the prison in this case, because it is the only thing so far that has been rigid and on the beat the entire time. Everything else has been either not entirely on beat or is extremely chaotic. The drums have been the only part that has been rigid on the beat, establishing itself, which usually can be a fairly tricky thing to do, because it can get old very fast. But in this case, it's drawing so much of a contrast to all the chaos going on around it that it gives you that sense of grounding, and it gives you a sense of just, okay, we're doing this kind of thing. And there we go. French horns, yeah, French horns. And now we're having a little bit of counterpoint between the violins and the French horn, which is a very, very fun thing to do. I think it is a French horn. Because the violins are playing very fast, very, very strong. The French horn is also playing strong, but it's playing slower. They're struggling. Yeah, they're struggling. And I like how they're panned with, the strings playing in the left ear, the horn playing in the right ear, giving you that sense of counterpoint as well. We're using a lot of counterpoint right now between the strings and the horn. Counterpoint, of course, being the study and the use of multiple melodies working together. Melodies that usually could easily be independent from one another, that work together. There are other types of counterpoint that don't work, that can be similar melodies or stuff like that, but usually counterpoint is the use of multiple melodies that are independent from one another, working together, and we are seeing that. And something that is happening with this is that with the strings being so chaotic and being so much higher than the French horn, we have a very, very interesting and kind of warped version of what I like to call a flying melody. Flying melody usually has been when you have a very busy bass line, like you have a very busy drum, a very busy bass, and then maybe a guitar and everything, and then at the top you will have a melody that is a lot slower, a lot simpler, just flying up above and just staying there and soaring over everything else in the landscape and the complex, convoluted landscape. And right now, because of those violins going so wild, up and down, up and down, up and down, the French horn isn't quite able to escape that and fly freely. It's trying to, but the drum is, of course, breaking that beat and getting in the way, kind of like the bars of a cell, and then you have the violins really getting in the way of that melody. And considering the theme here, it's really cool because it actually works. Because if you present this to a teacher in a music school, he's going to tell you, well, what the hell are you doing with this melody? Like, why are your strings going so insane? Why is your drum so loud? What are you doing? But now we have a theme behind this. It makes sense. And it adds up. And it is cool because of that. Which is a thing I love about video game music. That you can compose with those things in mind without having a specific thing, a specific scene in mind, or a specific timestamp or a specific cutscene in mind. This can be a lot more all-encompassing for the video game. Let's continue. Glissando again. Ooh. Oh, we're opposing the drums. Oh, we had a very brief moment over there where the glissando happened and we missed a couple of the beats from the drum. Almost like the other instruments, some percussion, and I think some of the strings tried to break free from it and failed. They tried twice, they failed. And now we're back to the beat. This is so cool. Again. Oh, look at that. A completely different, completely contrasting. Again, we take away the drum beat. It sounds like we jumped off the cliff, but now we have this synth that we hadn't heard this entire time. This percussion that we hadn't heard this entire time. A completely new landscape. Like we managed to break through, and escape the prison. Let's see where this goes. We got some of the vocals again. more and more. And something very interesting here has been how little of the motifs we've actually heard. Because the motifs have been so small and so short and so fast that it's been very difficult to distinguish them from one another. So we are kind of playing through this entire thing without a motif. And it's fascinating to hear that, because usually the motif, I'm a very melodically oriented musician. I'm a very melodically oriented composer. So for me, the idea of having a melody is fundamental. It is a basic thing. If my music does not have a melody, then what am I doing? And so far, we have had these melodies. We've had a bunch of melodies. We've had a bunch of motifs. But they've not been the main focus. The main focus has been that drum beat, has been that rhythm. And it's such a fascinating twist to everything. I am really enjoying this. I am really enjoying this. And now that we have this contrast, we have this completely different set of percussion, this completely different synth, everything else, we've broken out, we've broken through. And the percussion is like echoing that beat. Let's see. Now we bring the strings in with that. With those synths in mind. Kind of like reminding us that yes, we've actually made it through. Really cool. And now we have a staccato version of a flying melody with the strings. Staccato, they are very, very short bursts. Very short bursts being played. I like this. Let's continue. Oh, a synthesizer slash digital voice. Oh, and this is what we were saving the electronic drum kit for. We drop a beat completely out of nowhere with a very different drum set. Because the first drum set was an analog kick drum. An analog drum set, which had that very strong, all-encompassing, like it covers the entirety of your hearing sound. And now we bring an electronic drum set, which we can tinker with a little bit more. It's a different kind of order, but it's not necessarily the prison that we were just in. And it's just a really cool drop. Let's continue. Oh. And there we have the melody. Now we're hearing the motifs a little bit more defined with those melodies in the background. Oh, it's really cool. Yeah, and now we're complementing the beat a lot more. We're just complementing the rhythm and what is happening with it. And we're building around it. Like, the motif is being used here and there, but this is such a rhythmically oriented piece. I am finding this one really difficult to reconcile with my habits, but it's so cool. It sounds so good because we are focusing on the rhythm, which usually rhythm is the most rigid part of a piece. I just hit the table. It's the most rigid part of a piece of music. That is the one thing that you can't have as much creativity when it comes to your tempo or to your beats, because you risk a lot of things when you change that. So having that be the focus and having those downbeats being the complete main character of this whole piece is something that I am finding absolutely mind-blowing. Because I'm not used to that. I'm not from my compositional experience. That's not something that I give too much attention to usually. Like, usually, as I said, I focus on melodies. And this has been not just focused on rhythms, but focusing on maintaining the same rhythm and taking advantage of that rigidness of those rhythms to tell a story with just music. This is really good. All right, we got about 1 minute left of music. Let's see where this goes. And once again, remove the drums. And now we finally fully broke free. No more extra notes, no more anything. We let the violins, we let the horn finally play their melodies. They are finally free, they've broken through, and they can finally do their thing. This is beautiful. Oh. There's the harp again, bringing us to those initial vocals. There's no percussion this time, though. Oh, no, no, it's there. It's just echoing really faintly. There's the piano again. Yeah, those are giving us... Yeah, those vocals, those percussions give us that sense of out in the wild kind of thing. And that cymbal that just ends everything. The cymbal being mainly the driver of when something changes rhythmically, and the harp being when something changes instrumentally. Really cool use of both of them. There you go. That was Prison by Crystar. What a brilliant track. What a trip that was. We got to experience the entire story of something being out in the wild, getting captured, being in prison, breaking out, and being free back into the wild. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. So there you have it. That was Prison from the Crystar soundtrack by Sakuzyo. I am blown away, dude. This is awesome. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician / composer, and I hope that I have explained things in a way that you could understand, even if you are not a professionally trained musician. One of my favorite tracks ever, even outside the video games. Yeah, it's really cool. Really, really cool. So if you're watching this on the YouTube archive, let's call it that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. The link for the full track is going to be in the description. I keep forgetting to say that. Link is for the full track is going to be in the description, so you can go and listen to it in full. Go listen to it in full. It's such a good track. And yeah, if you want to catch these streams live, make sure to check the links down below as well. We have links to the Discord and the Twitch channel that show the schedule on your local time zone, so that then you can figure out if you can or not. And yeah, otherwise, thank you for watching. If you want to request a song, just type into leave a comment with what song you want me to do, what track you want me to do. Video game music only, original soundtracks only. And yeah, there you go. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, join the Discord, all that good stuff. And that's gonna be that. That's it. That's it. That was Prison from the Crystar soundtrack. What a beautiful, beautiful journey that was. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. But yeah, let's move on. Let's move on.